Hello and welcome. And today we are going to talk a little bit of CorVive, the value of supplementation, nutrition, obviously all things related to strength training for young athletes, middle high school athletes, as well as college athletes. But today we're going to start off by speaking with former major leaguer, 7-year major leaguer, Kansas City Royals, first-round draft pick, Hunter Dozier. Hunter, I want to say thank you first and foremost for taking the time to join me here today.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, a lot of people always hear major leaguer and they assume that you're a naturally gifted athlete. But talk a little bit about when you were younger, specifically at the youth ages, things that were important to you over and above the practice field, whether it was nutrition, strength training, conditioning, things like that. What did you do as a student athlete in your younger years in Texas to help you prepare not only for high school, but college and professional baseball?
Yeah, I mean, when I was young, like in elementary school, from what I can remember, I just remember playing outside all the time. My parents will tell me like, "Hey, just come back home before the lights are on, the street lights are on." But I just remember playing outside all the time with my friends, or if it was just me, like playing wall ball, shooting basketball, throwing the football around, whatever it was. I was just always, I loved sports growing up. I have an older brother; he's 5 years older, so I always watched him play his sports and stuff, and I always wanted to be like him. But I just remember playing a ton of sports outside, wiffle ball games, little football games, street hockey. I mean, it's just constant. I just loved it. Me and my friends loved it. I feel like today, kids don't get outside and play just to go outside and play and just be creative. I feel like nowadays, like kids are stuck inside playing video games, or there's so many practices, scheduled practices, that they don't get the chance to just go out and have a wiffle ball game or have a street hockey game, or a little pickup basketball game. And I feel like that's something that's missing with our youth today. I mean, I have 4 kids. My oldest, he's 8, and unfortunately, he has some type of practice every night. So it's just like, I wish youth sports were a little bit like how it was when I was growing up, where it's like, if you're going to get better, go out and play outside. Focus on just having fun and enjoying the game. But yeah, I just remember playing outside a lot, creating different games within myself, like just being outside.
Well, I'm going to digress and continue on this topic because you just struck a nerve with me. Talk about the difference between an organized practice or lesson or game versus actually just playing as a kid, playing, creating. I think that's an integral part that's being missed. I have friends that I played baseball with way back in the day from Venezuela or even Puerto Rico, and they talk about playing various games, whether it's home run derby, whether it was, just playing with a broomstick in some cases, but they actually play as kids, and there's no adults to umpire. There's no adults to instruct. It's just play, fall, fail, success within the community of kids. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of just playing as a child?
Well, yeah, I think it's huge because you don't have a coach out there, you don't have a parent out there. So the kids that are playing the wiffle ball game or whatever game it is, they're doing it because they love it. They want to have fun at it. And I think that's the number one thing. They want to have fun with their friends. And by doing that, they're getting better. They might not know it. They just think that they're having fun, but they are getting better. If it's a wiffle ball game, they're working on swinging, fielding, running, and also just organizing a game. Um, it's something that I hope gets back into youth sports, and I'm sure it is in some areas and stuff, but it is so different than organized practice. And it's just something that these kids are missing out on.
Well, I can just definitively tell you we're joined by a special guest here.
No.
Playing wiffle ball, I think it's probably one of the most important aspects of childhood. I know Tyler here, who's joining us, Tyler Beede. Played a lot of wiffle ball, played a lot of pickup basketball, played a lot of, pickup football, just games that within the games and their buddies would get together. Tyler, I'm so happy you took the time to join Hunter and I, and we're talking about children, sports, and the resilience and the need to play more in less organized lessons. On that discussion for Tyler, can you just tell people we didn't really do lessons? We didn't really do formal, organized anything other than literally talk about a little bit about, as Hunter just shared, being a kid, playgrounds, backyard. We just did a whole bunch of sports organically. We didn't do anything organized until you were maybe 15 or 16. Talk about a little bit about that in Auburn, Mass.
Yeah, 100%. Hunter, what's going on, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I don't know if we ever crossed paths playing. I obviously know you from when you were playing with Kansas City and stuff, but I don't know if we ever crossed paths in AAA or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
As long as you haven't hit a tank off me, I think we're in good terms here. We're in good terms. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's like it was a different time to grow up, right? I think the temptation, if it were growing up now and I was that age, it would be probably, peer pressure to go and join the rest of the guys at doing lessons or whatever that might have been. And so, thankfully, grew up in a time where that was encouraged to go play wiffle ball and get outside, play multiple sports, don't specialize. Grew up in Massachusetts, right? So it's like you definitely didn't have the type of weather to try to encourage you to play baseball year round. It was like, get inside and play basketball, stay warm, and then football in the fall. Everybody else was doing that, so it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a blessing in a lot of ways to be able to have a group of friends who were doing those things athletically and kind of wanting to get outside and have fun too. Right, you're a product of your environment, you're a product of the people that you hang out with, and so. Whether that's, Walt, that's you, like, making sure I'm around the right people, right, around the right kids and guys who always love to play other sports and stuff like that. So, yeah, it definitely benefited. And kids these days, especially running my facility, like I have a basketball hoop in there. I have footballs laying around. I have other things that these guys like to have fun with these days to try to get their mind off of just baseball all the time and being so focused on not just like mechanics, but trying to have like a rigid way of going about things. You got to be adaptable. And so try to keep it fun with all that stuff too. That's kind of what I learned from my childhood in a lot of ways.
One of the things I want to talk, Hunter, a little bit about is when did you become aware of the value of proper nutrition or hydration or things that were going to lead you through to the path at the high school, college, and ultimately professional level with regard to the value that strength and nutrition played in your development as an athlete?
Yeah, I think my junior year, our last football game, we ran a trick play. I was quarterback, and the trick play didn't work. I ended up breaking my collarbone like in 4 spots, and I missed all of my junior year of baseball. And I felt super far behind. I felt I lost a lot of muscle that I gained from my freshman, sophomore, junior year, and I felt super far behind. So I knew that summer, once I got cleared to, hey, you're full go, get back in the gym and get working, I felt that extra fire to figure out, like, to try to catch back up and really work hard in the gym. So that going into my senior year, that whole summer, I really fell in love with the gym. I was working out twice a day, and I just continued to do that throughout my senior year and continue to do that through pretty much the rest of my career. But that's kind of when it first started. I always worked out with the school, or if it was a program not affiliated with the school, but I didn't really fall in love with the gym until after that injury, because I felt like I needed to get stronger. I needed to get faster. If I wanted to play at the next level, that's something that I needed to do. And it just kind of organically happened. I fell in love with it, and it's something that I continued throughout my whole career.
Tyler, I kind of know the answers here, but I would love for you to share your story of that October day during football season when I took you into Cressy Performance as a 14-year-old young man. Talk a little bit about when you started from a strength perspective and how Big Walt would look at your nutrition or your supplementation during those days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was so foreign at the time, right? It was like getting into high school, you'd have those high school morning lifts, and that was my first experience with working out, and it's different, right? It's like baseball specific training compared to those grinding football lifts, Hunter. It's like completely different. So you walk in and you're doing foam roll, your sleeper stretch, your the things back in the day that Eric was having us do that were so different. I couldn't even. I remember you picked me up, and I like couldn't even turn the music up on the radio. I couldn't even reach that far. I was so sore, and it was like, realizing that this was beneficial. It was tough, but it was something that I knew I needed. And I mean, I was scrawny, right? I was like maybe tall, 6'1", but I was 150 pounds, so I had to try to find a way to get stronger, put some weight on. And then, just trying to eat as much food as possible. At the time, nutrition, it was like, I never really remembered what I would eat for breakfast, and it was trying to get as much calories as I could in, being as active as I was. So, peanut butter sandwiches as much as I could, protein shakes. Eric did a good job of having stuff there that we could utilize, whether it was supplements or just a loaf of bread that he would make us eat there. So, it was those were fun times, and you really got challenged by those other kids that you got to be around at Cressy's back in the day.
Well, Hunter, I want to kind of bring in awareness. We as adults and coaches, and we talk so much about skill set development, strength, size. We very rarely go in depth with regard to nutrition and the value that it plays with regard to the children at very young ages, and both of you now as parents. But Hunter, I'd like to talk, we have been working with CorVive now for several months, and they're coming out with a great new product that really starts with children at younger ages. Talk a little bit about that new product and why it's so valuable for parents with regard to not only young athletes, but young children across all landscapes with regard to being a child, whether it's theater, singing, fishing, running, etc., just children's health and nutrition.
Yeah, it's something that me and my wife are very passionate about. I mean, we have 4 young kids, 8, 6, 3, and 2, so we're in the thick of it.
Yes.
And my kids love sports, so we're all into the youth sport era right now. And when we get these, I think what gave us the idea to approach Jeremy with CorVive about doing a kids line is after games, there's snack bags. And in these snack bags, there's like Prime or Gatorade with like fruit roll-ups, gummies, whatever it is. And we're like, we feel bad as the parents, but we wouldn't let our kids eat that stuff. We're like, no, let's just take it, say thank you, but we'll get your own stuff when we get home. And then when it's our time to do snack bags, like the kids are looking at the food we give them, like, what is this stuff? And it's like, but it's all healthy stuff. So me and my wife Amanda, we were like, we need to come up with a kids line with CorVive, and let's start out with a hydration drink. So we approached Jeremy, and he was fully on board. But it's going to be a kids hydration drink with probiotics. And I think we just got tired of. I just feel like parents are uneducated. They don't know that they're doing harm with their kids. And so we just want to kind of create an avenue where we can educate parents and also give them good products. And I think eventually we want to add a kids protein, a kids multivitamin, where, hey, if your kid's not a big eater in the morning, hey, make a little kids protein shake, let them drink that, and then send them off to school instead of just, like you said earlier, a bagel or a waffle or whatever it is. I think the big thing is just educating parents and then also giving them options for good, clean products that are going to help them.
Tyler, I would love for you to understand, both you and Hunter understand this term NSF. And I don't think enough parents are aware of all of these various products. They can use these buzzwords like protein and, the branch chain amino acids, but we don't hear enough about NSF certification and why that's important, especially with CorVive. But what is NSF mean to you both as professional athletes?
I mean, that's when I got drafted, when we both got drafted. That's all the products that we could take. I mean, because you get drug tested. I mean, it feels like every couple weeks, but those are the products that you can trust because you know that they're safe, they're clean, they're third party tested.
Hmm.
Um, so it just gives you that confidence that whatever you're taking actually said, like whatever the ingredients are in that supplement you're taking is actually ingredients in it. Because some of these
Hmm.
companies, I feel like they add fillers or put stuff in it, or maybe there's certain vitamins that aren't in it, but they say they're in it. So it just gives you that confidence.
Yeah.
Tyler, talk a
Okay.
little bit about that now as a dad, because I know that both you and Allie, your wife Allie, are very cognizant of, not only from a supplement perspective, but just a food, byproduct. You're always checking ingredients now more as a dad than you may have done as a kid.
Oh yeah, scanning every barcode possible. It turns grocery shopping from a 30-minute to a 3-hour process. I think everything Hunter's talking about, it's the peace of mind, right? It's like from a player's perspective with NSF, from a player's perspective with the food that they're putting in their body, it gives them peace of mind that they're fueling themselves properly, recovering properly. From a parent's perspective, I have 2 kids too, and we're trying our best to make sure our oldest son that he's not eating junk food, and so it's the peace of mind that you're giving them the proper ingredients, that you're making sure that, as they are growing and getting stronger, they're getting bigger, that they're doing so with the right food, that's actually benefiting their body instead of potentially doing harm to their body, which obviously every parent is in that boat. But some have the ability to have, certain resources like yourself, Walt, or like Hunter, to turn to point them in the right direction. Because Hunter said it's an education, right? It's an opportunity for us to educate parents who are maybe going through sports for the first time. Maybe they didn't play sports growing up like all of us, and they don't really know what they need to do for proper fueling or nutrition. And it's Powerade, a brand name. All these other, whether it's drinks or energy bars, protein bars, it's quick. You see it. It's like you said, Walt. It's got the flashy name on it. Carbs, calories, no sugars, whatever it is. And then once you scan it, you recognize that there might be some things in there. So it is taking the time to just do a little bit of research or pull out your app that you have that you can scan with and make sure that it's good for you. But whether it's NSF, whether it's something related to that, making sure that you can get the proper nutrition in is super important. It gives you the peace of mind.
Hunter, I'd love for you to kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive in. And as parents, we fail to recognize that the probiotic or the hydration piece is an integral part of not only maintaining, athletic function, but, cerebral function, gut health, and the role that it plays with regard to the immune system, things that we kind of do not talk enough about. But with CorVive, you're really getting a product line that gives you the peace of mind that you're preparing your child's body for growth in all the right ways, whether it's potassium, sodium, obviously with regard to gut health and probiotics. Talk a little bit about that dynamic as a parent now and the value that plays with your children and their development.
Yeah, I mean, hydration is super important. I mean, if you're not hydrated, if you're not drinking the right liquids, I mean, you're falling way behind. I mean, my daughter will go through it. She'll complain about her head hurting, and we're like, well, have you had any water today? And we fill her water, and she's been at school today, and it's completely full. We're like, well, Blake, I mean, you have to drink, like, you have to drink water. So, I mean, hydration, I mean, it controls everything. And as an athlete, they always harped on us like, hey, hydrate up. You need your electrolytes. Like, you're going to sweat a ton. And it's the same thing with kids. And with the added probiotics, I mean, everything comes from your gut health. If you have a healthy gut, everything's going to, kind of fire from that. If you have, if your gut's struggling and you don't have that probiotic, then you're going to start noticing things. So it's just really important. It's cool. It's going to be a cool product that kind of covers both hydration and a probiotic that everybody needs, and kids need it too.
I always have my bottle. I have my hydrate every single day. It's, first of all, a really neat, great tasting product, at least for the adults. Tyler, I would love for you to share a quick Big Walt story with regard to, did you take your supplements today? Did you eat your bananas today? Did you, anything and everything? Can you just talk about, even though at the time it might have been aggravating to you as a my son, but at the same time, you were always kind of ahead of the game with regard to hydration, supplementation, vitamin, fish oil, creatine, all that great stuff. Those are things also that CorVive produces as well, like the creatine and the supplements and things like that. Talk a little bit about when you were a kid, how I would bang that into your skull.
Yes, that amongst many other things that you were always on top of me about, which I'm appreciative for, because I think you recognize that there's an edge, like you as an athlete, as a parent of an athlete, you're always kind of chasing the edge that you can have over whether it's not just other guys, but even yourself, just trying to improve and get better. And there's other ways to just, working out in the gym a little bit harder, spending extra time on practice reps, quality sleep, but like nutrition and hydration, those are things that are low hanging fruit for a player to really potentially grow and develop a lot more quicker than potentially his peers, or maybe that he would himself, to reach their full potential. And so it's important to be able to communicate it in a way that shows the athlete, your kid, that it can benefit them. I think athlete at a certain stage wants to improve. That's why they do the things that they do. They work as hard as they work, and just trying to, because I see it all the time. I have kids in my facility who walk in with Wendy's, Whataburger, McDonald's. It's the quick thing for them to grab on their way from school to the facility. And so I try to have good healthy products for them, better snack options for them to have, so that way they can start to recognize, like, when we're talking about gut health, not just the impact on like the body and the physiology, but also like psychologically, recognizing when you eat like crap, you're probably going to have, whether Hunter's talking about his daughter, like you maybe you have headaches, and it just starts to kind of throw your psyche off a little bit, to where when you're in the heat of competition, you kind of fall back to those habits, and what you're putting into your body is what you're going to get out. I don't know who it was. I forget the player. I think he was a baseball player. He goes, you put diesel in, you get diesel out, right? So it's like recognizing the ability for you to lean on some of the stuff that you're putting in your body in those big moments, can either be to your benefit or your detriment. And so I recognize that at a younger age, just from when you were kind of harping on things. But as I got older, and I recognized, man, I'm eating like junk on the road in AA or AAA. Domino's isn't going to really fuel my performance as much as I would hope it would. It's good in a certain period of the season in AAA, but when you go out there and you try to pitch and get called up, that's one of the ways that you potentially could, I don't want to say self-sabotage yourself, but really food and that habit, it takes creating discipline around what you're putting in your body, because it's easy to grab the quick and easy meal down the street or at fast food, compared to buying the right product, making sure you have it with you in your suitcase, or your parents have it with you when you go on that trip to Jupiter, Florida, and you're fueling before a game, after a game. It's super important, and it's something that can really separate yourself from the rest of the guys around you.
Hunter, when do you foresee the CorVive children's line being introduced and available for parents?
It's Jeremy texted me the other day. I think we're like a week away, so it's getting
Nice.
really, yeah.
And so, I'm going to make sure that we have all of that information available, not only on the podcast, but as well as the social media clips that you will see. And I strongly encourage you as parents. And again, this is for children. I mean, both Hunter and Tyler have children that are months old to 8 years old. So, my grandson Bo Diesel, he's going to be 3 this week, actually tomorrow. Happy birthday, Bo Diesel. And, these are the types of things that you want your children to grow up recognizing the value of health and nutrition, not only from an athletic perspective, but just a general life perspective. So Hunter and Tyler, I want to say I'm very grateful that you took the time to join me today. I want to end on one question quickly. We talk so much, student athletes. I interact with a whole bunch of parents, families, student athletes. They all have the same dream. I'm a dad. I watch my boys have that dream. I had that dream when I was a player in high school. I want Hunter, I'm going to start with you. What's the one thing about becoming a major leaguer that when you finally got there, you were like, wow, I didn't expect this? Like, what's your wow moment of becoming a major leaguer?
I think just the impact it had on like my family. Seeing the excitement of my mom and dad, my brother, my sister, everyone that helped me get to that position. it's just like I feel like we all had this same dream. And for me to actually get there, it meant a lot to me seeing their reaction, how excited they were for me. It was like they got called up too. And I think that's what blew me away, is how much they truly did care. They loved how much they loved me, and how just genuinely happy they were for me. I would say that was the biggest thing. I mean, besides, playing in front of 40,000 people, going, airplane rides, like all that stuff that goes with it. The most important part for me was just seeing the excitement of my family and how proud they were.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. You vividly remember your first game, your debut, your first series, or whatever it is. I think like trying to enjoy it was a lot harder than I expected it to be, because you're so hyper fixated on, okay, I got here, now I got to stay here. Like you said, you got the cool flights and you're in the big stadiums, and it's like your dream come true. But then it's also you realize you got there, and you want to try to stay there as long as possible. And I think that's a misconception of sorts, right? It takes you out of your ability to enjoy it and be present. And so I got real caught up in worrying, always looking over my shoulder if Bochy was coming to get me to send me down. When am I going to get called back up again? When am I going to get sit down again, kind of thing. And so I think the challenge mentally, and I say that because I think like being prepared to get to the big leagues physically matters, but mentally you got to be way more prepared. And you maybe lean on your support system, like you're saying, Hunter. It's like the people that helped get you there, they can kind of help keep you grounded when you get there, to be an encouragement and things like that. But you're under a spotlight, and so you need to be prepared mentally for all of the different things that potentially come with the game at the big league level, whether it is 40,000 people compared to 3,000 people. The game is the same, but there's a lot of different stuff that's thrown at you. So it's a fun challenge, but it means, it demands a lot more of you than I think you expect at the time when you get up there.
Well, mental clarity, that all goes with nutrition, having the, elimination of the brain fog, and that's where CorVive products come in handy. I really want to emphasize to parents, do not look at this as just a student athlete. You have children, they're young, they're 1, they're 5, they haven't started playing sports, but nutrition is absolutely a must-have in order for your children to not only grow internally, physically, but mentally as well, being able to handle the classroom and being able to handle the mental things that they go through with regard to peer pressures, things of that nature. CorVive, the children's line with Hunter and his wife, comes out probably within a week. Encourage you to go to the website, CorVive. We're going to provide all that information down in the description. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Mr. Beede, I want to say thank you for being able to play catch at Fenway and Wrigley Field. I think that was the highlight of my life, from 23 Rockland and all the way to Fenway and all the way to Wrigley Field. It was an absolute dream come true for me. I love you, and thank you guys very much.
Come on. Love you too. Hunter, great to meet you.
All proteins are not the same. I encourage you to choose a grass-fed whey protein. The cattle have a cleaner diet, grazing on natural grass, which is going to mean that it's going to have higher branched chain amino acids, also your omegas and your CLAs. I'm telling you, it matters from a recovery standpoint. Choose the best protein and you're going to see the best gains and the best recovery. I'm telling you, athletes, make a wise choice, because it matters what